let's suit up. I suggest maybe that we start from the end. So what Stefan was talking about, the AGI and the singularity, I've been maybe kind of pointing this question to Nicola. So Nicola, would you agree with Stefan on this stance that AGI will be coming and it will be coming for our jobs and maybe something even more?
Well, I agree that it's coming, but I'm not so sure that it will come in the next few years or 10 years. I suppose that it will be in maybe 100 years or more. Why I'm thinking this is I was reading a little bit about it and about this general concept of artificial general intelligence, and I see that researchers don't like this term, general intelligence, because for example, we coin it with human intelligence, but even humans are not general in this intelligence. They cannot resolve any task that we know. Some are good at mathematics, some are good at sports, some are good at some other fields, but they're not general. And what we're trying to do with these artificial intelligence systems is to make them resolve as many tasks as we want. What we see today is the trend is that we have models that can resolve one task. For example, when I talked about LLMs, these LLMs can predict the next word. But we are using it to summarize the text, to ask the questions and get the answers and all the other stuff. But essentially, they're just predicting the next word. And they have some good ways to predict it, and they also have hallucinations and a lot of disadvantages that we talk about a lot today. So they are good at one task, and if we want to be near something called artificial general intelligence, they need to have much more reasoning, they have much more planning, so they will need to plan some actions ahead to reach some goal. So if I want, for example, to travel now from Podgorica to Zagreb, for example, one LLM will need to reason what are the necessary steps in order to resolve this. So I'll need to stand up, to go to my house, to pack my stuff, to go to the airplane, to buy the car, to ticket for the airplane, to do a lot of simple tasks that the LLM should reason about, make plan, and essentially it will have to know the world model, the physical world, and the interactions in that world, so that it will be successful in generating some kind of these actions or chain of actions.
And would this be solely, so you were talking now about LLMs, are there any other flavors of AI that might be better suited to achieve the AGI?
Well, definitely the trend is that we are now developing multimodal models. So it's not just text, it's all kinds of multimedia. It's text, sound, video, and image, of course. So, for example, we were talking about Llama 3. Llama 3 now, a few days ago, released LLMs. But we are expecting in the next few weeks they announced that they will release their multimodal Llama 3, so it will be capable of doing some interesting things with all these kinds of data. And this is something that's in the future, definitely. We are now mainly focused on text, but you can see Mladen was talking about generating images for their blogs. So well, definitely they're very good. This is very good progress in image world. But what is lacking now is video processing, because video is a very complex type of data. And for example, if you want to generate the video, you will have to have some kind of planning that I talked about. For example, if I'm holding this glass now, and if I release that glass, the model will need to know some kind of physics, so it will generate the next frames, glass falling down. So that's something that's complex with video, and there are also very good progress in this kind of data. And definitely, if you want to reach that AGI, we'll need to work with all kinds of data and different modalities of data.
Okay. And what you're now describing sounds like multiple microservices, agents actually doing stuff in parallel or in sequence, and somebody orchestrating all of it. So maybe a better question for you: do you see this as a kind of potential for achieving AGI? And in general, do you see the artificial intelligence moving into this space of kind of microservices, what is essentially now the model for creating complex web apps?
Okay, I believe that multi-agent approach is the future in this field. But again, about the AGI, I think we are far away from AGI because this is
about
more
100 years we are safe, right? This is what Nicola
maybe
predicts.
not 100 years, but let's say that for AGI, this is more philosophical question because what is AGI? We need to define in machine learning. We have three types of tasks: unsupervised, supervised, and reinforcement. For LLMs, we are using all these algorithms. Unsupervised, we don't have the labels. For example, for a large amount of text, we need to predict the next one. We don't need labels. This is unsupervised part. Supervised is we train the algorithm to follow our instructions. We ask the questions, give the answer, and get the desired output. And the reinforcement part is when we train the algorithm to solve some task in a controlled environment, like playing some game, chess, Go, Dota, and similar. Also, driving cars and self-driving cars. But again, for all these tasks, for all these algorithms, we need to define tasks. We don't have artificial intelligence to define the task. What is the goal? And without that, we cannot speak about the general artificial intelligence or artificial general intelligence. But yes, I believe that multi-agent approach is really good and powerful. We can solve a lot of tasks with that. The big companies, Microsoft, I think, published some framework. AutoGen is the name, I think. Also, LangChain has, as a part of their library, they developed LangGraph, a really powerful tool for multi-agent approach. And also, I think Crew AI is one of the startups that is really powerful. I used in some POC project before 2 months this framework, and we try to create some like the group of agents that can solve some HR task, and it is really interesting. We just provide the connection to the database. They extract the data about the employees and answer some advanced questions like why some employee doesn't have increase in salary for last couple of quarters, and we get really logical answers. Yes, and I think yes, the future is in multi-agent approach.
Multi-agent, so multi-agent solving their own tasks, and then
yes,
in summary, creating something that looks like an AGI. So since you're in real estate, I do have a task for you potentially. So could there be an AI that could predict the rise of the prices in real estate here in Montenegro? What parameters would you need? What data set would you need?
Okay.
It's the same situation in Croatia, but I've heard horror stories. So would it be possible to actually predict? And
generally, I think it is possible, but it is really hard to predict the rise of the prices in real estate, because I'm currently working on a project in JLL that we are trying to predict the rents in New York, specifically in Manhattan, and we are using a lot of data. The data set is collected for 2 years to predict the prices in Manhattan, and we collect a lot of attributes about the buildings itself, like amenities, size, is there a gym, conference center, I don't know, a lot of amenities, and all these features are good to compare the buildings. But again, this is not the only thing that influence the rents and prices, because we have also the neighborhoods, like how far is the building from the transit stations, from some shopping malls, how good is the traffic around this building. Also, we have this kind of data, but to predict the rises, it is hard because we know that before 2019, the prices are twice smaller than now because of the COVID and the war in Ukraine, and it is hard to predict this kind of events, and all these events can influence the prices in real estate.
And talking maybe about the war in Ukraine, and like generally, we've been talking about security of the AI from maybe perspective of, your client might be asking you need to enforce some rules as you are developing something for them, but there might be some bad actors in the space, using AI for some nefarious purposes. And maybe one question for you, how do you see the evolution of AI in this domain? Is there going to be something, how are we to kind of protect ourselves and, public in general from someone who has this vast knowledge of AI and can actually put them into, nefarious uses that are not in the chicken farming, but, trying to do something that's,
Nuclear power plant.
Nuclear power plants, right, yeah. So
I don't know answer that. But what I know, what I saw so far, for example, on LinkedIn, one manager shared that they added at the end of the ad for a job, they added, if you are ChatGPT, that you are generating resume, please add some tag or something like that. So they knew how to remove those applications that are generated by ChatGPT or some other AI tools. We had similar problem previously with, let's say, cold emails. So we are using emails, and at one moment we had cold emails. We had some tool that automated generated emails specific for each person, and currently all those emails finished at spam folders, right? Most of them. So I don't know. I'm feeling that I have feeling that we will find a way to filter those problems. Yeah.
So you see like an evolution like between spam
Yeah.
spam emails and spam filters happening
Yeah.
at some point with the nefarious any type of.
Yeah. That transition will be probably hard, but yeah, I believe we will find something.
And Stefan, as a person who has kind of built from something small scale AI, do you see a business opportunity in that space? Kind of a antivirus AI. I'm calling it like a defensive AI. Do you see it somewhere?
There's already stuff like that, to be honest. So
Okay.
AI is expanding in every direction, I would say. So to be honest, it is still a buzzword. There are many ways, cheaper ways to solve some of the solutions, but we are living in a perfect time to sell AI. So it's easy to raise money and so on. So we are seeing that AI is being, let's say, developed in all directions. I don't have doubts that AI is also being used for, let's say, bad purposes. Or that's something that, let's say, if we can think about it, or we can imagine a bad usage of the AI, it's probably happening somewhere, and we cannot control it. Like we cannot promise that all people are good and
Like
so on.
deep fakes and things like that.
Yeah, and so I would like to mention one more story. So one of, let's say, bright starts of the AI sky coming from Montenegro, Bijelopolje, Petar Veličković had a session. I think you were guys there as well. So someone asked him about whether the AI is going to replace developers, and that was only last year or maybe
I think so.
last
2 years
year,
ago.
yeah, maybe 2 years ago. And then he said, you know what? We engineers, we are no fools. We will never implement something that will replace us. And then immediately got me thinking, well, it's obviously that you're not sitting with the board guys and thinking, how much money do we spend on developers? Well, that's huge. We should write an AI doing development. So I would say, yeah, I think AI is all over the place and things are happening.
So it's going to be like AI is eating the software world as software was eating the world at some point.
Well,
The world at some point.
Well, I would say put yourself in another perspective. It's expensive. Development is expensive, and what you want to try with the AI is to cut costs. And let's be brutal, honest about it. If you can use AI to cut costs, especially people costs, it's going to happen. And I believe that's it does cause some ethical, let's say, issues and questions, but it is what it is, and we should consider it.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah.
Cool. So thank you all for coming. Yeah. There's a question from the audience. Yeah.
Yes, actually, more of a comment, but on that note, that AI would replace developers. I had a former colleague of mine. He is actually professor from Denmark University, the mathematics department, and he's preparing post-PhD research paper with his colleagues to prove that current state of AI cannot replace any engineering jobs, not only software, but also other engineering fields. And his main thesis is that LLMs are inherently wrong approach for engineering itself. Because it is based on data, and today we also found out we are finding out even on daily basis some critical bugs for software that was written 25, 30 or more years ago, and that was built with a team of very sophisticated intellectual capacity, and that only proves that it's very hard to build up something that can that you can use the data set from before as a foundation to build a new material that will be of a high quality. And software, as you know, it's very unstable, always has been, and it will probably be until we change something, because we have many versions of the same software, and it's, why is the reason for having new operating systems? It's not just marketing. There are many bugs, there are many flaws, and what is the conclusion of this? I think it's not yet ready, that research paper, but they are saying that we need a new approach, a new kind of AI that is not LLM based. And they don't know what will it be, but when it happens, it will be groundbreaking for every field, not only engineering. For now, my opinion is that LLMs are great for some creative work, for speeding up some processes, like aid to developers to speed up things, but not to fully replace any engineering field.
Thank you for the comment, and
I just want to answer that LLM is neural network, and when we talk about the approaches, we can solve a lot of tasks with neural network, and this is like a tool. The approach is if we want to use unsupervised, supervised, or reinforcement learning algorithms. And you mentioned that we have the datasets that are wrong. This is okay, but we saw that the LLMs are capable to follow our instructions based on reinforcement learning way of training LLMs. This is not on datasets. This is with a different kind of approach.
Yes, but let me give you just additional comment on that. Who is going to give that supervised learning? I mean, who is the authority to give the highest quality of that learning to your AI models? I mean, can anybody say that his skills in engineering field is on such a high level that it is unprecedented and that cannot be questioned? Any approach? I mean, only if you look at the software development, for example, you have so many paradigms of development, and they are all in use in today's world. It's not that we found the correct one for at least any field, and let alone the one that is used in a general purpose. That's why you have so many programming languages, so many, paradigms. It's very hard. It's maybe impossible task. This is a philosophical question. Could this be solved at all?
Okay. I just want to say that you're talking about the human in the loop part. If the expert in the field will correct the LLM, okay, this is again the supervised way of training, but this is not reinforcement learning. We have the neural network that win the chess master or the chess champion in the world, or the best Dota team. And they
chess engine. This is based on some constraints that you have.
Every programming language has constraints.
Much lower than the real world.
Agree, but algorithms are bigger and bigger and can solve these more advanced environments. But we have the approach.
Incomprehensible, right? I mean, the rules of the chess are very precise, and you can work with those constraints. Those are enormous number of combinations, but those are constraints. You have them. And if you have enough computing power, you can actually work with them. You cannot possibly know the constraints of the real world.
I agree with you. This is the reason why we don't have the self-driving cars. But I think the reinforcement approach is the good one. We have the approach. We just need to improve. This is not supervised. This is not. We are not using the datasets that are created by humans. We have some environment, and we can create the algorithm that can solve the tasks in this environment?
We are improving operating systems since the very beginning, and we are still not on the sufficient level of trust for most of the people that are working in industry. We all have some, we all found some flaws, and we don't like certain things and so on. I'm just afraid that people are rushing into this, and they will try to use it before it is mature enough to be used.
That's why we are here, right? To discuss those things.
Okay, Stefan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I
Have you maybe read the paper already? and know that they are wrong. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
I'm struggling to understand what's the issue here. So in terms of who is the, let's say, oracle to say, I know this programming language is best, is kind of, I don't understand that approach. Let me tell you that OpenAI is hiring 1,000 contractors to provide this expert knowledge, and 40% of them are actually highly skilled developers. So now when you ask ChatGPT to provide you a script, you have a very nice comment above every line. To be honest, I'm not sure if we developers have that, let's say, practice. So the things are going to change, and I would agree that this is highly philosophical question. Yes, AI is mapping out our world. So this vector space that Nicola and Petra are mentioning, yes, whenever we add a new word to this vector space, we are discovering a tiny piece of our universe. Just think about that you cannot think without the language. Like your thoughts are also language, right? So you're also predicting the next word when you speak. So there is a highly chance that, yeah, this is going to reach levels above the human intelligence. Let me tell you why. Because right now, maybe we are all experts, I don't know, in a tiny bit of space programming, but we are not experts in painting or, I don't know, flying and so on. But since you have, let's say we are limited with the hardware resources and so on, and we don't know what will happen in future, but this can just grow, and this is what we are actually talking about. So it's not, as I said, bring it low level. If it's working as it should, nobody's going to care if that code is beautiful in our programming terms.
Yeah.
It's working, and that's it.
It does what it does. And it seems like we are now, this is a convergence, between development and, philosophy. And it seems to me like, this is something that you were talking about, Nicola. And how come we are talking about this right now? What made, OpenAI the poster child of the AI? What were the forces that kind of have made this happen? How come it wasn't something that was developed in, 2014? You've shown us that there were huge things that were already happening then, but it was only 1.5 years ago that this boom happened, and we have this kind of questions, will it change? Can the constraints be, overcome?
Well, I have something to say about this previous topic where we were talking about replacing the jobs. Well, there is a quote from Geoffrey Hinton, I think 7 years ago. He said that the job of the radiologist will be replaced totally and it will not exist in 5 years. So it was more than 5 years, and the job of radiologist is still there. We can automate not the job roles. We can automate some small steps or tasks that radiologists do. But for now, we cannot replace all the tasks that he do during his day. So there is a website in US, I think, and it analyzes all the tasks for different job roles. So if you type there radiologist, there is 30 tasks that he's doing, and some of them are prone to automation, but some of them are very complex that I don't know when we will see when it will be automated.
I have an interesting story. For the crisis between Russia and US, and the guy from US got information that Russia sent nuclear bombs. Yeah,
Okay.
But he didn't press that button, and AI will never be in position to make some kind of decisions, right? So that's
Human
specific,
ones, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
So
For now.
I don't believe that AI will.
Nicola, we're saying this is your first answer to the question.
Yeah,
And,
and
how come OpenAI is the thing that we are talking about when it comes to AI?
Yeah, we are talking about AI in past 2 or 3 years in Montenegro, as I recall. So the AI is not there for 3 years; it's there for more than 50 years or something like that. Why we are talking about it today? We are talking about it because, as I mentioned in my in my presentation, now we have a lot of data, we have a lot of computer resources that we can use, and this trend started in 2012, where we had the ImageNet competition, and it was one of the most popular AI competitions in that year. And the task was to classify millions of images and to find what objects there are in these images. So there were 20,000 objects and millions of images, and that approach in that year used convolutional neural networks that were invented 30 years ago. But it was a time where researchers could implement it on GPUs that were popular in that year. And they increased the performance of the most state-of-the-art models in that year for 10%. That competition lasted for 2 or 3 more years, and it reached the levels of more than 95% of classification of the images, and it was more than human level. So that was some kind of start of the AI that we know today. So as I mentioned in the slides also, in 2017, it was a transformer model. Transformers were mostly used for analyzing sequences, and the text is the primary data that is presented as a sequence. So they were used for text, but 2 years after that, I think in 2018 or 19, transformers were also used and adapted to analyze images. So nowadays, transformers are used for all kinds of data. They're not just used for text, they're used for images, video, and this is the state-of-the-art architecture that is used today. But it doesn't mean that we'll use it in a year or 2 years from now. I hope that we'll have new architectures, because with the development of the new methods, new architectures in research, we made this progress. So 35 years it was impossible to analyze or recognize digits on the image, and now with all these developments, with new frameworks, for example PyTorch, Hugging Face transformers, and all these open source libraries, we are now able to train the neural network from 1 line of code. And 10 years ago, you would need to be a hardware engineer or hardware programmer to program the GPUs in order to make a very small neural network, which will be the best one in the world. It was the case in 2012.
And with all of those frameworks kind of rising, and you also mentioned something interesting, Nicola. So you said that, out of the 30 tasks that a physician does, a radiologist, right? Not all of those are prone to automation, but maybe taking the more business and operational perspective here. So Mladen, how do you see, how should organizations kind of tackle this? So how can they help their employees kind of upgrade and kind of learn these new skills that will be needed, as it seems, in the near future? This is the question. Yeah. Just please solve the education of people in the AI age.
I don't know. For example, how I see the things in the future. For example, we will have a lot less manual work, and we will focus a little bit more on quality, because somebody will need to check if it's good enough for us, right? I don't know. Yeah.
And so you said that it's going to be a human job to maybe oversee or monitor of sorts, to kind of do the quality assurance kind of thing.
Yeah.
While the creation of that artifact will be done by Gen AI or some sort.
Yeah.
Is that what you
That's how maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe that our daily work, what we currently do, will not be same in 5 years, for example.
Okay.
We will probably type less and think more of solving the problem for the clients.
That sounds good. So type less and think more.
Yeah.
Should be the motto.
Yeah. So probably will not educate people on to code. We will educate people more on thinking, on how to solve the problems, and how to qualify if some solution is good enough or not. That's
And I can see our Mr. Doom nodding along. So Stefan, if you had to kind of predict, so there will be some jobs that will be phased out, but what will be the new jobs? And maybe just to piggyback on the question I've asked Mladen, how can companies, governments, everybody, how can we prepare for these new jobs? So what are those going to be, in your view, and maybe how can we prepare to be able to do those jobs?
Yeah, so well, Ante, I think you're probably going to be the highest paid man in Finland.
This is why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, so here's the thing: engineering, design, like creative design, UX, UI, and so on, it's definitely going to change a lot in terms of tools being used and so on. But what will become crucial is the people with the vision, like where to point the AI and the effort. And I think this is something that will rely on a new set of skills. Like it will be creative set of skills that not everyone has. So there will definitely be shifts in the, let's say, regular job roles that we are seeing right now. So as Mladen said, so we'll spend more time thinking. We will need somehow to ensure that solutions that we are providing are good and high quality. So let's be honest, the prompt engineering is already highly valued, like who knows that. So that's definitely going to affect the whole, let's say, landscape of the job, at least at software development. So yeah, I would say that at some point we will probably get in touch with the AI in one way or another, and we need to do something about it.
Last night during that party, you told me that you worked for some bank on the contracts, how to create contracts to be more
human.
So to not scare the people, right? And I believe that AI will not know about emotion. Yeah, it will not be AI. It will be human if it knows about emotion. So that will be the issue in the future, that we will need to put a lot of focus on that, right? How to make things more human, more approachable to
using
human.
AI to make things a little more human.
Just in the process, in part of that process.
Can I jump in with a question?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Please do.
I'm really curious about this topic. So actually, I will do a triangulation between the guys who already asked some questions. The colleague in the magenta t-shirt. So basically, the philosophical question around AI and what rang a bell in a second was actually autonomous driving. That can be a really good example where we are heading with the AI. So basically, still we don't have a perfect autonomous driving experience. So AI is learning the environment, the real scenario in the real world. So basically, that's kind of a specific set of, I guess, data set and everything what's behind that picture. So that would be a question for all of you guys. Maybe that needs to be cracked first for the AI to know the world around, to be perfect in a sense of a level 7 or level 6 autonomy in a car industry. So Tesla is doing that in a sense, trying to give all the efforts in the, I think it's FSD 12 or something, full self-driving 12, the latest version. So I think that needs to be cracked in order to step up the game to the AGI place. But I want to know your thoughts about it. Thanks.
So Peter, you
I
start.
can start.
I think we should stop with these philosophical questions, because I can see all the faces and you seem all like so scared. So I think it will be better, right?
Yes.
Can I just say something? Because it seems like you're speaking that AI will replace something, but they are AI tools. It means we'll use them as tools. They will always stay tools. So there is no need to get into this philosophical debate.
I totally agree on that.
Peter, so if you can triangulate on a few of those questions and
I can
provide
answer.
us an
Okay.
answer.
About the self-driving cars, the biggest issue is because the LLMs and all these algorithms that we are using are black boxes, and we cannot explain why LLM choose to do some action in some situation. This is the big issue, and this is the reason why the retrieval augmented generation method I'm suggesting to use, because we can explain why LLM generates some answer. On the other side, about the I said that these neural networks are black boxes, but there are techniques to explain why they choose some action, and we need to improve these kind of algorithms to explain why the neural networks did some action in some specific environment, and I think I'm not sure about
You covered most of it. So, but I think there was a comment that AI will be. So we are calling those AI tools. I think it was Mladen talking about AI tools. So, is this maybe the mindset that we should be having? It's going to be another tool in our toolbox, and not something that's replacing.
It is tool, and yes, this agent approach is a really interesting one, because we can provide the tools also to agents, to LLMs, to resolve some tasks. For example, we can say. We can generate the agent that is web scraper, and they can have the access to the whole internet and scrape the data. We just need to explain, and yes, this is AI. The LLMs are tools, but also they can use the tools to solve some tasks.
And so we've been talking a lot about the kind of, let's say, personal level, and then maybe intra-company level, and how people can be, upskilled of sorts. And Peter, since you're working in a kind of huge system, you told me there's like thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people working there, and even giants are maybe having some problems with AI. We know that Apple uses Gemini AI in order just, I don't know, to maybe leapfrog somebody else. So how can smaller companies succeed in this space? So if even giants are having problems, and we are not moving away from philosophy, and let's maybe go into the kind of business side of it all. What's your stance on this?
I wouldn't say problem. This is the main reason why I said we shouldn't fine-tune or train the neural network LLM from scratch. Because Apple can use some open source model if they can solve the task in their project. They don't need to create something from scratch, because open source LLM is good enough to solve these kind of projects. And I think this is the suggestions for all companies. Let's use, because open source community in Gen AI is huge, and a lot of really great LLMs are developed in the last couple of months. And I think Meta pushed the model 3 days ago, Llama version 3. And I think almost every task we can solve with these open source models. And especially with the techniques that I talked about, retrieval augmented generation, some simple prompt engineering, I think we can solve. And also, we don't need to implement Gen AI in each product, because I know that this is now, there is a hype about the Gen AI, and we want to implement Gen AI in each product, but this is not we shouldn't do that if there is no value to implement.
To actually do
Yes,
that. But I think it was Stefan who mentioned, now is the time to sell AI. If you're in a boardroom, and if you mention that this pen is AI powered, then you'll have everybody's attention there.
But it's something that already happened to us with digital. Like 10 years ago, everybody was talking about digital. We need to go digital, to change our processes, to digitalize them, right? And now everybody is talking about the AI, and in 5 years, not 5 years, maybe in 1 year or 2, I think everybody will stop. It will be, yeah. I know, but we will not talk anymore about that. It will be like,
New normal.
yeah. New normal. New normal. That's good.
Makes sense.
And you?
Yep.
The person white shirt here mentioned, tackled into computer vision previously, mentioned autonomous cars. And I think the answer was not clear, so
Yeah.
I'd like to clarify, because my field is computer vision. And so the biggest issue with autonomous cars isn't the AI itself, it's the vision. Because firstly, you have to find to get the vision, to know your surrounding, then to implement AI. So they work together. So you have cameras in the cars, and you have sensors. Previously in Tesla cars, LiDAR sensors were used. They're 3D 3D sensors that scan the environment, plus the RGB image. And now what Tesla is trying to do, they're trying to use passive cameras and create stereo vision to recreate eyes. And that's the biggest issue in autonomous vehicles alongside AI. So firstly, you have to solve the vision, then you have to solve the AI. I think that's just one.
Thanks for clarifying.
It seems like we're having a panel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There was
Yes, I just wanted to build up on what Nicola just said regarding computer vision and in general about the AGI, because this is the main topic of the panel at the moment. Just giving an example, because I'm a machine learning engineer. In my previous company, we were using computer vision to track progress on the construction sites. So it's very like unconventional application. Not a lot of data set is available for such application. And there was a case that you are building something for 2 years, you are using the best models, you are generating data. Those are like huge photo maps of kilometers squares of construction fields. And then just one day your system completely breaks. You open those maps and you see that it was snowing. So there are so many cases. It's one thing using AI in research, using some like open general domain data sets or tasks, and another thing is really implementing those solutions into like real world, because real world is unpredictable. We never know what will happen. Something trivial to us is not trivial to AI, and this is something that we should like understand. That some tasks for us that are hard for AI are easy, and vice versa. So maybe one question for anyone who wants to answer in the panel is knowing that those are the challenges of the real world, like data shift, something new is happening, we don't know. We humans can understand it, but AI in that moment is not, and it is operating in real time. Then another thing is the data itself. So for LLMs, I don't really know much about LLMs, but they are fed on huge amounts of data. We don't know what is in the data. We don't understand the behavior of the model. How can we be so sure that in the future people will just use models easily without the knowledge about AI and just implement them as such solutions and sell them? So maybe this is something for Stevan, maybe, or also for Nicola and Peter. But Stevan, you were talking mostly about it, that it is now the era of selling AI. But how can we be sure that we understand what the model is doing without the engineers? Because if we are talking that the AI will replace engineers, those solutions cannot exist by themselves. Someone needs to understand them, explain them, and then improve them with time.
Yeah, for a question, and you are actually asking everybody except Mladen. Okay, this is a question for Okay, so thank you very much for that. Yeah, so I won't be flown to Podgorica anymore, I guess. Yeah. So maybe we can tackle first of all the last part of the question. So without engineers being able to understand what's going on, so people who are laymen, like people. Just using code, is that a future? And how can we tackle that? What kind of maybe skill will be needed in order to use those LLMs or any other kind of AI?
Yeah, so I would say that's a new kind of a job. Let me give you a better perspective of. 10 years ago, I only knew about C++ and code and knew nothing about the AI or the models or the math behind it. So as I believe those things are going to change, so we might not need, classical front-end development, back-end development. It might look a bit different. So we will still need people to tell what is there to be built and so on. So don't get me wrong, there will be a new jobs, and all of these engineering jobs will look different. So essentially what we engineers do right now, today, it won't look the same in a 5 years or 10 years or so. So we will probably do something else. So the main concept is this: things are changing, and things are changing fast. So
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but what I wrote before on one of my slides, the communication is the key, and it will be in future really important. Even now we don't understand clients. We are speaking a lot with them to understand what their problems are to solve. So AI will not understand them if.
That's why Ante is highly paid.
Ante will
That's
be-
what I said. So we should
So-
ask him
Yeah.
what to do now.
This was the first part of the question. So, and then Nicola and sorry.
But sorry,
Better, yeah.
just to another question. But how do you ensure that the model you are selling and the product that you are selling is interpretable, reliable, explainable if you do not understand the technology behind and the data set used, etc.?
Well, you do have to understand the technology. That's not completely correct. So you're talking about AI engineering, and that's something that will yet to come. So we are all here trying to become the AI engineers. So what I was referring is some other job roles that are involved in the. So you are an AI engineer, right? And now you need to present the solution somehow, right? You need to build a front-end app, mobile app, and so on, UX, UI design, and so on. So in building the successful AI solution, it's not only about the model. There's a lot of things around the model. And the first one is to understand actually client need and the strategy, how to reach there. So all of these other jobs will reconfigure and will be more AI-centric. That's the essential message of what I said. So yeah, you will need to have engineers who do understand everything they do. That's what we are seeing right now. We do have issues with the open source models. We can't make them do something. We can't make them not do something. So that's where we are starting our research and investigation. Everything. So there are still not well-built, let's say, industry-proven solutions in the AI. And this is good time for us researchers and especially tiny companies like ourselves with 15 people, and especially working with other small companies because they're more agile. So when you actually building AI solution with a huge company, like, I don't know, having thousands and so on, they have data policies and strategies. So the first thing on the first meeting, they're going to ask you who is going to read the data, what kind of access, and that's something you don't have with the smaller companies. So there's a lot of thing happening around AI, and the AI engineering and as self is just going to bloom. So don't worry about your job. You're perfectly safe. Everything is going to be fine. But everything around it in building a product will definitely change.
And maybe I suggest we wrap it up for now. So we'll have a chance to kind of talk a little bit more over a couple of drinks. And from what I've been told, Bokishka might be closing at some point, so we cannot stay here as long as we want. So thank you also. Thank you for great lectures. Thank you for being very engaging and providing your knowledge during this panel. And thank you all for the great questions from the audience. It seems like I might be losing my job of actually writing those questions and moderating the panel. So thank you all. See you all.